free of the misery. And so our misery is in this idea of thinking we know, and holding on to, you know, the things that are around us, like whether it's the opinions of others, or whether it's the fear of financial insecurity. The birds are beautiful. So here we are, in this game of life, thinking that we understand how to live here. And so my thing for you, my hypothesis, just try this on as an experiment, right? Just try this on as an experiment, that maybe you don't know, and maybe that there's nothing to know, right? Maybe there's nothing to know. Maybe all we need to do is be. There's nowhere to go. There's just now. I know that sounds so simplistic, like, what do you mean there's just now? But all the great teachers, and I've spent 40 years investigating, and all the great teachers have pointed to this, that the answers are deep down inside of us, that we have to tune in, not out. But we've been given all this conditioning about how life should be. Hey, beauty. About how life should be. And the more we tune in and realize that we don't know, that we are free, the more that we really start to see what's happening around us, the more peace we get, and the more joy that comes, because nothing's missing. We're not looking for anything. We're not striving. Life unfolds, and our conditioning has been so strong that we must strive. We must get, we must win. Winning and losing. And I know you might look and say, oh, that's all right for you to say. You're, older, and but it isn't. I look around, it's the same. Lots of people my age are still suffering, or they've judged themselves as, hey, they're having been very successful, or having been not so successful. They because of this whole idea of thinking that they know, all this conditioning that we've been brought up in, and surrounded by. And I was meeting with a buddy today, who seems to be having a pretty amazing life, and living, full on, and to me seems to be quite at peace with himself. Whether he's studied philosophy or not, or whether he's looked deeply into the things that some of us who were, I think that in my own case, my interest in, we'll call it spiritual matters, but they're not really spiritual matters. They're just life. My interest in discovering the secrets of life, and they're not really secrets. They were always there. Was out of because I was in so much pain, and my friend today, I don't think had those kinds of pains. He just seemed to have, really enjoyed and lived life full on, and seems to be quite at peace with himself, and that's beautiful. And I think, and the people that I'm interested in talking to are people who frustrated by life, so frustrated by life that they did so much to just avoid the moment, because they didn't like who they were, and they didn't like what was happening to them. They always felt like something was missing. I remember that feeling, and for years and years, like I always felt like a square peg in a round hole, and I always felt like something was friggin' missing, or I wasn't getting it. I was a couple of steps behind all the time, and so my search was like, who am I? Why am I here? What's going on? What's this about? And a lot of that at one time was geared so that I felt if I learned those things, I could actually function better, and still was around getting what I thought I wanted. And over the years, what I've done is let go of wanting. Not entirely, all the time. It comes up, but it doesn't have anything to hook onto. It doesn't have anything to, it's like I see it sometimes. The old, it's like the remnants of the old way and the old habits and the old conditioning are there, but when they come, there's nothing to hold on to. So the freedom is there. And so I encourage you, I really do, to look deeply at the questions that I'm talking about, and many others are. Listen, I'm just going to read from the Tao Te Ching tonight. I love it. And I think we're on chapter 30. I've been enjoying reading this. I really have. Chapter 37. And it's only 2 paragraphs. And so please bear with me. And this book, by the way, was translation by Stephen Mitchell. And it is a beautiful book. If you're interested in the kind of stuff that I'm talking about, the awakening, who am I? Looking deeply at life and at ourselves. This book has got, lots of sweet, sweet stuff in it. It really is. It's the Tao Te Ching, and supposedly written by a man by the name of lao-tzu. And so here we go. The Tao Te Ching, chapter 37. The Tao never does anything. Yet, through it, all things are done. The Tao never does anything. Yet, through it, all things are done. If powerful men and women could center themselves in it, the whole world would be transformed by itself in its natural rhythms. Let me read that again. If powerful men and women, and we're all that, powerful men and women, powerful men and women could center themselves in it, in the Tao, the whole world would be transformed by itself in its natural rhythms. And I see the Tao as the now. If we could be centered in the now, people would be content with their simple, everyday lives, because that's what we have. Nothing special. That's the deal. We all want to be special. Well, ultimately, there's nothing more special, and yet there's nothing to make us more special. It's beautiful. People would be content with their simple, everyday lives in harmony and free of desire. Free of desire. That whole lifetime of wanting things to be different, living in fear, wanting things to be different. Just be with what is. Live and let live. When there's no desire, all things are at peace. Isn't that beautiful? In the back, Stephen Mitchell sometimes writes a little bit of a synopsis of the chapter. And, and he said, he reads a line from the reading. He says, if powerful men and women would center themselves in it, and then he says they can, and we can. So that's it. The Tao, be here now. Life is, if you want to be free, baby, and you can't want it either. It's funny, Paul Lowe used to say that we couldn't have it by looking for it, but we wouldn't find it if we didn't look for it. And there's nothing to look for because it's right here, and yet, we're still struggling in the illusion. So my game, if you will, is to, of course, live free moment to moment myself, and then to see if some way there's a way to share it more deeply with you. So that's it. Love you guys. I love you, love you, love you. I'm on YouTube. I love it if you go there and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Valley and Beyond is still under that name, and kind of growing the YouTube thingy, having some fun with it.